operates with another video. In the last video we looked at basically how to specify the specific port you want to scan to check what services are running just at the very basic levels, and also how to save your scans into an external file where you can do your analysis later on. So in this one we'll be doing a little bit more aggressive scanning. We'll be going using different commands, checking what kind of results we get and how you can use this in your daily life as a pen tester or even as a hobbyist in cybersecurity. To launch your Nmap, just go into your terminal, go into your command prompt. Typing in Nmap essentially launches the help. So in this you can look at some of the basic things that you can do. So to start off, let's use A. It's more of an aggressive discovery where you are looking for OS versions. You're trying to detect if there are any operating systems running within that, say, IP range. You are doing some basic script scanning and also trace route. We'll come back to individually analyzing what this means, but for the time being I'll clear this and I'll scan my own network. Remember that if you are trying to do any scanning, any aggressive or intrusive footprinting without legal permission, that is on you. And as the channel, we do not promote any illegal activities at all. If you do not have a server to scan, Nmap does that for you by providing an IP address for you to scan. For the sake of being quick in the video, I'll be scanning my local network to reduce the lag. So let's check my IP address. Yep. So first things first, let's just do a basic aggressive scan to detect whatever is running within that network, and essentially just to scan everything in your IP range. All you can use the wildcard, and by using the wildcard you're telling it within this web IP range scan every address. So yeah, notice that I haven't tried to export this into an external file. We'll do this later on in the video. At the moment we're just looking to see what kind of results using the A parameter gives you, and as we proceed you'll notice that there are different parameters that give you similar results, but depending on the scope of your scan, these results will always vary. If you're scanning, say, just one machine or two machines, then that's less likely to notice the variance. Yep, that's it. Remember that we were trying to scan without specifying the ports, so it scanned everything within this IP address in my local network, and all 1000 ports are closed. It scanned again within this other IP address and all ports are closed. One is for my phone and the other one obviously is my local laptop. I have tried to close up a number of ports, but again, that isn't truly guaranteed that you will manage to do this. This is my local gateway. You see that it has 23 TCP port open running telnet services, and again remember that 53, it's a domain and it's open. Gives you the basic information. Like every gateway, there's a port 80 that provides you HTTP, and notice this is filtered and is open. So what filtered means is that that port is running some form of firewall security, and try your best to stay away from filtered ports. This just means trouble. Later on in the video we'll also look how to get only open ports in your scan. This smoothens the work for you. You don't have to filter through everything, getting out the specific ports that are open. By passing a simple command, you can be able to request this of Nmap, and it simplifies the work for you much more. And the next thing we can look at some of the services you get. This is not really grabbable output. Remember, we didn't pass that command. So yeah, now with these kind of results we can clear this up and we can try something else with Nmap. I want us to try using this. We want to print the version number, and we also want to use the S command. I'm just looking for it quickly, not the capital S. Nmap is case sensitive, so depending on what you are passing in, if you are not case observant, you will get something different. This is what we're looking for. we want to probe open ports to determine service version information. This specifically requests that you probe these ports further. Remember that with aggressive scanning, you're just doing basic detection of this specific range. So as always, using the up arrow, you just get to navigate much faster. And coming back here, we just pass in S and capital V, and we want to probe all IP addresses within this IP range for open ports, and we want to probe these open ports to get more information from them. So you might be wondering what's the difference with this and with the aggressive scan, the A parameter. So the real difference is how the scan is performed. SV goes deeper into the open ports to try and get any more useful information that you can use as a pen tester, unlike A, which just runs a basic detection, basic, say you are in a network, right? DHCP addresses when a computer or a mobile phone connects to a new network. What does it do? The handshake, the provision of the IP address by the DHCP server, checking any IP addresses that are available and allocating one. So with A, essentially is sort of a similar handshake. You're just looking to understand what is there, and beyond that you are not doing anything else. If we come back to this, you'll notice that the scan looks pretty much similar with what I've done with A, but the real difference will come in if you have a larger network, a large server, say a large website that you're scanning. That's when the real difference comes up. It's quite difficult to get the same from this, but you realize that you get just about the same thing. You get the 256 IP addresses scanned, only 3 hosts are up, the scan time, and again similar results in conclusion, because this is not such a huge system that we're scanning. So the next thing we do is we want to perform a quick scan. You don't really need to always go through the others on ports, but sometimes you also don't know which ports run which services, because as an admin you can choose to run your, say, SSH server through another different port rather than the native port 22 that we are all aware of. So what we're looking for is capital F. Notice that again it is case sensitive. If you take this and if you take, what is that, if you use capital F, you get very different results. Yeah, this is what I'm looking for. See, capital F means fast mode, and if you come back here, you notice that this is just a whole different command. Nmap is very case sensitive. So quickly going back here, note that this will work on any web address, any database that you're scanning. It will not necessarily mean that you have only the ability to scan your internal network, but always within all the scans you're doing, just make sure you have legal written permission. So yeah, that is up. Notice that it ran in virtually a third of the time. The other one was about 58 seconds or something. Basic conclusion, but shorter, neater results. So what the F does is just a fast mode scan, goes through the normal normal culprits, telling you what services are running where. If there's an FTP server, SSH, if there's HTTPS, this is another TCP port, what service is running there, and again through the 100 ports that it runs through, it will tell you how many are closed and provide you with the necessary information. So if you sum this up, you notice that it ran through only 100 ports as it's saying here and as it's written up here. So again, let's go back to Nmap, and in the next command I want us to look at trying to pass 2 separate IP addresses within the same command, or 2 separate websites within the same command. So to do this, we will perform a fast scan, and we'll provide 2 different IP addresses. Notice that because I know for a fact that I have IP address within .4, that is, and .3, that's what I'm going to do. So clearing that, I'm just going to request a fast scan of the following. just forgot it. Apology for that one. Let me just quickly check again. I'm going to pass in 3 and I'm going to pass in 4, and essentially what you are doing is you are asking it to perform a fast scan of this and this. Notice that in the first one we were passing an entire IP range, say, so assuming you're at a workspace where you have hundreds of computers connected to the network, if you pass in the complete range, it will go through individual IP addresses, scanning every single port. So if you pass in the 1000 without the parameter of fast scanning, 400 ports, and it's scanning 1000 ports, say, in 100 computers, so essentially that takes a whole lot of time. You are essentially going through 10,000 ports scanning for what services are running, and that can be brutal. That can take you a while. Doesn't matter how fast your internet connection is, but that will take you a while. So it's always good to be able to pass very specific IP addresses, and if you can pass this within one command, then it's much better for you. So what we're gonna do is we are going to just clear this one more time. We are going to navigate to a folder of our choice so that we can be able to save these commands. So repeating the same quickly. I'm so forgetful today. And really I just want to copy this, pass in the fast scanning. I'm going to give it 3 and I'm going to give it 4, and I want to save this in scan1.txt. So what this will do is it will scan both IP addresses, and it will save all these instructions in a very orderly manner in that specific file. So let's see how this comes up. Yep, and that's about it. So if we were gonna to list out, we see that we have our scan.txt in here, so we can quickly just cut, scan, hit tab, complete, and this is the kind of information we get. So just a quick navigation into the same folder, you notice that we have our scan file here. It's in txt format, obviously, and the command that we passed essentially allowed it to scan the first address, provide a report, scan the next range, provide a report of the same. So this time around all 100 ports are closed and there is really nothing to report on the same. But this is a very good way of being able to scan very specific IP addresses quickly, getting the results you want, saving these results somewhere usable for the future. And this is not only applicable within IP addresses, but you can pass in an IP address and you can also pass in a web address. So just to quickly demonstrate this, I'm going to switch my internet connection, and we are going to connect to this one just to scan the Nmap website and scan my local address. Yep, yeah, that's connected. So just a quick ping of Google servers tells us, yep, we have internet and it's up and running. So the first thing I'm going to do again, I'm just going to check my IP address. You see it's changed because this is a dynamic address. It's allocated to you every single time you're connecting through a local gateway by your local server. But you always have a public IP address which you cannot see from this end unless you have some certain skill sets, which we can review in a later video. So clearing that up, let's put in that. Let's perform a quick scan. We don't really need to be brutal with the Nmap servers. .nmap.org. You don't really have to know this from memory. What you can do is always coming here, copying that will always give you the exact same results. So notice that this time around what I've done is I'm passing an IP address, and I want it to scan everything within my network, so I'm just going to pass in the wildcard. At the moment in my network, I'm pretty sure I have two devices. That's this laptop and another machine. So this ideally should be able to show us the same results or similar results. Let's say that to scan2.txt and see what this gives. Yep, that was pretty fast. Remember that I'm using the F command, and this essentially allows my scan results to be pretty fast. Navigating back to my folder, we have scan2 here, and we can open scan1 here. Just put it like that, side to side. Ploma sucks. Anyways, what do we do? So you notice in the first one we just put in these two addresses. Sorry for that. We put in this IP and this one. In the next one, what we did was we requested it to scan for every IP address within my local network. As you can see, it's already done that. And the next result was for scanning the scanme.nmap.org. This is a remote server from Nmap that is free for you to access and to do your network testing, your studies in whatever field you are in. So that command doesn't really matter whether you are using it with a specific IP range or a mixture. It will always work if you use it right. So the next thing, let's clear this up. Apologies. So the last thing, last but not least, we need to be able to quickly get all open ports without having to scan either the first scan or the 1000 ports. By passing in the open parameter in your Nmap scan, essentially allows you to filter out any port that's not open, any port that's filtered, closed out. So to do that, what we can do is passing in there. Let me quickly open the help menu so that you can see what I'm talking about. This is what we mean. This will allow you to only show open ports or possibly open ports. Ports that Nmap is not sure about will provide as open, or sometimes it might not give a status of the same. So what we can do is, one last time, we can do scanme.nmap.org, and always remember to pass in your command. This is what we want to do. We want to filter out any open ports from Nmap and get the results. So yep, that's complete. Notice that this was pretty fast because you have requested for specifically open ports. This is much neater for your analysis. And you notice in this one we have the HTTP address, which is this, what we're looking at, and we have an SSH port. Yeah, that's it for this video. If you find the videos helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you have something you want to provide feedback, as always, hit me up in the comment section and we'll try our best to respond in time. Otherwise, thank you. And yeah, the channel is growing. We have almost hit 1,000 subs. I'm really grateful for the support you've shown. Yeah,